Welcome, my 420 Spot family.
Glad to have you with us.
Here's a look at what's making waves in the news for November 20th, 2025.
All right, first up, we've got a major legal showdown brewing. We're talking a federal court versus the DEA, and right at the heart of it, religious freedom.
So get this. The Iowaska Church out in Iowa, they've been waiting 6 years, for the DEA to just give them a yes or no on using ayahuasca, a psychedelic brew, in their religious ceremonies. This whole thing kicked off way back in 2019. Even with a push from Senator Chuck Grassley in 2021, it still took until this year to even get heard in court. I mean, that is just an incredibly long time to be left hanging.
And this is really where things get heated. You've got the appeals court judges who are, let's just say, not impressed. One of them basically said, hey, this should take months, not years. But the DEA, they're firing back, calling ayahuasca extremely dangerous, and arguing the case is very complicated and needs a deep investigation. So you have these two totally opposite views on how urgent this is and how risky.
Okay, moving on. A huge name in media has just jumped into the fray over a new federal law that's really got the hemp industry worried.
And that person is Joe Rogan. He recently went off on a new provision in a spending bill, calling it a really bad mistake. He's convinced this thing was just kind of slipped in there, without anyone really noticing. So why is everyone so fired up about this? Well, for starters, the law sets a new THC limit that is so ridiculously low, a lot of folks in the industry are saying it could basically put them out of business. It makes producing even the non-intoxicating CBD stuff super difficult and expensive. Rogan brings up a personal angle, how it hurts people who use it therapeutically, like his own mother-in-law. And who does he blame? The alcohol lobby. Now, the full rollout is still a year out, so there is some time for advocates to push back.
All right, let's switch gears to some pretty fascinating new science. We're talking about the whole relationship between cannabis and alcohol. And get this, it was funded by the federal government. So researchers over at Brown University set up this experiment, basically a makeshift bar. And the results? The people who smoked a joint with 7.2% THC drank a whopping 27% less alcohol compared to the folks who got a placebo. That's a huge drop.
And nope, that wasn't just a one-off. They had another group smoke a less potent joint, just 3.1% THC, and even they saw a big drop, 19% less alcohol. The numbers are pretty clear here.
So what this whole study was really looking into is this idea of the substitution effect. You've probably heard it called California sober. It's this trend where people might use cannabis to help them cut back on other things, especially alcohol.
And this really gets to the heart of what they found. The lead researcher, Jane Metrick, said it perfectly. Instead of cannabis making people want to drink more, they saw the complete opposite. It actually seemed to reduce the craving and how much people drank.
All right, for our next story, we're headed down to North Carolina, where the world of politics and the hemp business are starting to look, well, surprisingly intertwined.
Check this out. The former Democratic governor of the state's Bev Perdue is now in an ad for her son's hemp company. But wait, it's not just a one-party thing. Over on the Republican side, you've got Representative John Bell, who's the president of another hemp company. So yeah, it looks like this industry has friends in high places, no matter which side of the aisle you're on.
And for our final story today, let's talk about what happens when state laws create a huge problem for patients. We're looking at a serious affordability crisis for medical cannabis users in West Virginia.
This really hits home when you hear from patients like Deborah Boggs. She needs medical cannabis for her Crohn's disease. It works, but affording it? That's a whole other battle. Her dispensary is an hour's drive, and she says sometimes she literally doesn't even have the gas money to make the trip.
And this right here, this shows you exactly why people are so frustrated. Just look at this price gap. A vape cartridge in West Virginia's medical program costs $60. The same thing right across the border in Ohio's recreational market, $20. I mean, that's not just a small difference. That is a massive, massive gap.
So you're probably asking, why the huge price difference? Well, it comes down to a few things. West Virginia is a medical-only state, which means a much smaller market and less competition. All its neighbors have gone recreational, which brings prices way down. On top of that, patient growth in West Virginia has kind of stalled, and they've even banned popular products like edibles. You put all that together, and yeah, you get a recipe for sky-high prices.
And this quote from Rusty Williams at the ACLU of West Virginia just nails it. He says patients are absolutely getting hosed. He also says that even though it's illegal to bring cannabis across state lines, people are so desperate for affordable medicine that they're just doing it anyway. They're taking the risk.
And that's a look at what's happening in the news today. As you can see, from the courts to the state capitals, things are moving and shaking all the time in the world of cannabis and psychedelics.
And all of this really leaves us with one big question, right? As the science evolves and the laws keep changing, who should really be in the driver's seat for the future of these substances? Is it the government agencies, the state lawmakers, or should it be the people themselves? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.